Alright, well, it looks like it didn't just automatically put us in our castle, but we're back into meme zone. We're back in the meme zone, and we got the thing. We got the thing from the Vanguard hero. About Danved? I don't know what that's a reference to, I'm sorry to say. Changes a unit to the Vanguard class, male units only. I love how this game freaking got rid of gender lock classes, but then by the time DLC rolled around, they were just like, no. And just threw that idea out the window. Why? Get that out of your inventory. Get that out. Out. I don't want it there. I do not want the thing here. But yeah, I'm thinking that some weird over Radiant Dawn. Gotcha. Welp. Let's see here. Yeah, grants the unit the skill Ether. Requires level 25 plus or advanced class 5 plus is the strength of 10 men. I believe it. I'm going to use this. Bing bada boom. That's the only ether item we're going to be using in this entire playthrough because I mentioned earlier, but I'll mention again. Freaking only one DLC freaking. What the heck is going on over here? Mika Blaze 17 rating with a party of 9. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. I was just talking about how I'm only going to use that one skill. Freaking thingamabob. I appreciate the raid there. Mika Blaze, welcome to the shenanigans here. Might I ask what you were just streaming? And I appreciate the follow there. Silvers 7776. My goodness, I was certainly not expecting the Spanish Inquisition. Welcome everybody from, am I pronouncing it right? Please, like, correct me if I'm not. Welcome everybody from Mika's stream. I'm Acoustic Harmonia. We're freaking out here doing memes and shenanigans in the world of Fire Emblem. Yeah, you're streaming Overwatch, but you usually stream Fire Emblem stuff. Gotcha. Would you say that you're, like, typically, in that case, Fire Emblem kind of streamer? In that case, I've never actually, gosh darn it, that was not the right key at all. My goodness, I was trying to do that. That's what I was trying to do. My, oh my. But yeah, I grew by playing FE, so you suppose, gotcha. Yeah, it was only in junior high school that some people that I knew recommended Fire Emblem to me. So I first tried out Fire Emblem Blazing Sword, or just Fire Emblem as it's known internationally, and I was like, hey, this is pretty fun. That's pretty cool. So I started getting into freaking Fire Emblem shenanigans, and now here we are doing some memes and shenanigans today. Got your start with Awakening. It's funny because Awakening was the first game that was recommended to me during that time, but I was like, I'm gonna try out this one first, and then freaking really enjoyed it. Only recently tried the older games, and it's funny, freaking Blazing Sword is the only one of the older games I've actually beaten, like pre-Awakening. I've tried playing Sacred Stones many times, but I kept like losing my save files and there's issues and weird stuff with that. So I've never actually beaten Sacred Stones before, even though I've played through like the first half. Probably about 4 or 5 times by now, honestly. Unfortunately, as sad as it is. But yeah, hold on. Let's go ahead and go to equip skills. Where is my Dudo? There's my Dudo. Let's go ahead and sure, take that off and slap that on for now. Sure, sounds good to me. But yeah, so it was around junior high that I started getting into some Fire Emblem stuff. And then hopped into Awakening and did that like super casually at first. But then later down the line started doing freaking Lunatic Classic and Lunatic Plus Classic, and then by the time that Fire Emblem Fates released, I immediately hopped into Lunatic Classic. I've literally never experienced this game on like hard or normal mode. I've literally never experienced this game on anything but Lunatic Classic. I appreciate the follow there as well, Mika Blaze. But I do Iron Man runs on your channel, but it's because you did that you gained a new appreciation for the older games and permadeath. Yeah, Iron Man runs are the kinds of things that I've stayed clear of. My thingamabob is all about freaking making crazy Excel spreadsheets and making crazy builds and yada yada is what I do around here. Is the thing. Like, where's my display capture? Where's my display capture? There it is. Like if I turn off the Dogi Cam briefly. I started doing full sprites for everybody as well, but then like, that started being too much work, so and started lagging my spreadsheet, so not everybody has a freaking sprite. But yeah, to say the least, I take a decent amount of work crunching my numbers, to say the least. So, I'm not the kind of person that can consider Iron Man runs. I'm the kind of person that will take as much time as is necessary and make the most creative, cool, freaking stuff that I can do with the best numbers that I can put together in freaking spreadsheets that I spend months working on before I start a playthrough on this channel. So, you know, there's that. Sure, let's just send Takumi in there, I guess. But yeah, permadeath doesn't feel good when RNG or just bad placement kills your favorite units, but when you play with the intent on leaving them dead, it hits different. Yeah, like that's now a consequence instead of just being like, well, I guess I just lost that progress and gotta reset the map. Well, smack a root to that dudo. Maybe one day I'll try one of them Iron Man runs. But I also worry about, like, if I fail, does my playthrough just end? Like, what happens to my playthrough? Do I not get to, like, see it through to the end? And that would make me big sad and stuff, you know? So that is definitely a concern. But maybe one day. Maybe one day I may consider. But for now, I'm gonna stick to my wacky spreadsheet shenanigans. Please, no. Please, no. Uh-oh. Please don't do the thing. We should be fine, right? We're fine. We're fine. Some people end their playthrough, so do you, but some people continue if they get a game over. How do you continue if you get a game over? How, what? That was easy. Wouldn't you have, like, run out of units and such? I mean, there's, like, the potential of soft locking yourself. I guess you could retry that map from the beginning that you failed at. But, you know, if you lose too many units, you're gonna freaking wind up soft locking the game by not being able to progress. My first ever playthrough, I did a Fire Emblem Blazing Sword. I did reset if I lost somebody, but my levels were just not distributed super well at all, that by the time that I got to the final boss, I actually had to start my playthrough from the very beginning, because I was not high enough level to beat the game, and my EXP was all over the place, instead of being focused and such. So, that kind of sucked. That kind of sucked having to start the playthrough of my first ever Fire Emblem game all the way over from the beginning, and actually focus on a few units. It wasn't exactly the best feeling in the world. But yeah, just reset when your lord died, but there's still the possibility of soft locking if you know, lose too many units along the way. Who have I not A-supported yet? Yato, maybe? I don't know. But yeah, some people kill if a unit, if you get a game over. What, having your lord die? Just choose somebody else to die in their place or something like that? Feel that law when your units aren't strong enough? Yeah, I was very big sad with my Blazing Sword thingamabob way back when. I was so disheartened. I was like, well, guess I gotta start this game from the very beginning. And it doesn't change the fact that, like, I really enjoyed Blazing Sword and can't wait for the day that I do eventually wind up covering it on this channel. Because there's no, like, grinding in it or anything like that, I don't think I'll be doing, like, any spreadsheet shenanigans. Just be like, okay, here's the handful of units I'm gonna be focusing on, and that's what I'm gonna do, and just make it through to the end, and yada yada, all that nonsense. Is this really the only support conversation we got during that? Yeah, because you did a Sacred Stones run on difficult, and everybody had pretty bad level ups or just died. Yeah, I typically don't like pushing the hardest difficulty in things that I can't really grind in at all like that. Like, before starting this playthrough, we did do a Lunatic Plus Classic playthrough of Fire Emblem Awakening, which one should never do for their sanity, considering the first few chapters alone before grinding is available is a freaking living nightmare that was completely untested by the developers, I am convinced. Curses, another fail attempt. So close, too. Why is hunting so challenging for me? Something troubling you, Lord Takumi. Something's troubling my throat. My goodness. Kagero. Trying to scare me to death, sneaking around like that. Does anybody else hear my voice being freaking weird? Cough briefly, I promise I don't have COVID or anything. My apologies. Something is the matter though, correct? Oh yes, I was out hunting with my bow and arrow, but as I prepared to strike, the deer realized I was there and quickly fled into the bush. Brush? I don't even know. Sorry to hear that. You seem to have no issues on the battlefield. I'm confident when we are engaging the enemy, just like in Xenoblade, but I can't get the hang of hunting. The more I think about it, the worse I seem to get. I just can't figure out my problem. Could it be that the animals are sensing your presence? What do you mean? Animals are extremely sensitive to human movements and scents. It's possible that you are simply not doing enough to hide yourself from them. Then, could you teach me, Kagero? I'm not sure. It seems like stealth comes naturally to you. After all, just a moment ago you popped up and scared me so bad I peed a little. This is how one of Takumi's supports go, huh? Understood. I will assist you to the best of my ability. Thanks. Well. But yeah, for about 6 chapters you couldn't fill up the max deploy. Then Erica died. I guess that, wait, I assume that's like the type of Erica and such. Sacred Stones is pretty easy comparatively to the other hardest difficulties, and you can still grind. Yeah, Sacred Stones is very much ahead of its time in terms of like its overall game structure for the Fire Emblem series and such. But now when you play it blind, you decide to grind on the Tower of the Overworld. But yeah, if you did grind like that, it wouldn't be much of a challenge. Sacred Stones is definitely a game that I will freaking cover on this channel one of these days. And I do look forward to, like, properly covering when that day comes. But, you know, it might be a hot while before that happens, to say the least. I'm probably gonna wrap things up soonish. Do I just want to hop into the grinding map briefly, just to get those freaking A+ supports that I need for whatever skills? But yeah, playing everything that Fates has to offer, pretty much. That's kind of the plan here, and such. Yeah, so these two needed to support together. Was the thing, so they're at C. These two needed to support together. And they're at B. These two were a thing. I guess most of the doodles that I had up here were like the last few A+ supports that I needed to ham out. Was kind of the thing, it seems like. But yeah, cool, you haven't touched the DLC besides Revelation, but you thought Fates was alrighty. I would definitely change a lot of things about the game. I really don't like its story. Its music is absolutely incredible. And the gameplay, I freaking mostly love. There are some things I would definitely change, but I mostly love the gameplay. I feel like every single Fire Emblem game I play, it's like this game is so good in so many ways, but there are like these few outstanding things that are just awful about it. And I feel like that's been the case with like every Fire Emblem game I've played. And yet it's freaking one of my favorite series. That just feels like it. Yeah, not all. I don't think that there's a game that I've played I mean, there are some games that I have played that have excelled in story, music, and gameplay. Like, I would say that both Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2 are great examples of that. But even despite that, I would say that my favorite game of all time is a game that I really, really, really dislike the gameplay of. Just because it's like story, like, really hit me hard and stuff. And its music has some issues here and there as well. Its music is really good. This is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky, is what I'm talking about here. Freaking gameplay could have been so much more refined. The Mystery Dungeon series has really learned a lot since those days to make gameplay like more smooth and engaging. Like the freaking Rescue Team DX remake, its gameplay, apart from the rare quality system that I would change some things about, its gameplay was freaking fantastic. And I played that game and I was like, man, I can now like really, really enjoy the gameplay of a Mystery Dungeon game as well, instead of it being like, you know, the kind of meh necessary evil that I get through to freaking enjoy a masterpiece of a story, you know? So I would say that's my favorite game, and it is by no means a perfect game. Like, a lot of its soundtrack is absolutely incredible. I wouldn't say the entire soundtrack is incredible. The freaking standout themes, the main themes of the game, are absolutely phenomenal, but like generic dungeon themes are just like, it is what it is. I think it was as of Super Mystery Dungeon that when I played Super Mystery Dungeon, that was the game where it's like every theme I heard wanted to get me to freaking grab my guitar over there and start jamming out and playing along, because my goodness, every dungeon theme in that game was just so dang good. But, you know, back with Explorers, it's like the handful of really main tracks of the game were absolutely phenomenal and so dang good. But the generic dungeon themes are, like, not anything I'm ever going to, like, want to listen to outside of, like, shenanigans there ever again, I guess. So, like, I could easily call out that game's flaws, but I still think it's my favorite game. Even though there's games like Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2 that I think are the only games that I can look at and be like, yeah, I love the gameplay, story, and music of all of them. Like, of both those things. I think those are the only 3 games that I've played that I didn't have any significant standout issues with, like, any of the... Well, I still have, like, issues. They're not perfect in those regards. Like, especially freaking Xenoblade 1 with its completionist stuff that's a massive pain in the butt. But yeah, let's just see here. Doing a Conquest Iron Man run right now. That was probably the best post-Awakening game for Iron Manning. What, Fire Emblem Fates Conquest and such? And Fire Emblem has to be one of your favorite franchises. Honestly, don't mind the Mystery Dungeon gameplay. You grew up playing it, so you use them. Yeah, I grew up playing it too. That's the reason that's my favorite game there. And it'd be really cool if they remade it like Rescue Team DX, which I think they probably will, after my video essay that I did on the topic that identified why it would only make sense for them to do Rescue Team DX if they were planning on doing Explorers DX sometime down the line as well. So I do think that it is very likely to be in the works, to say the least. But yeah, I do think that a DX of Explorers is more likely to happen than not, but you know, I could do a long-winded explanation on why that is, but I have a dedicated video essay on the subject that, whoa, takes the proper time way better anyway. Yeah, I guess we're just gonna go around getting our like, support and stuff like that is what would do. Because that's kind of my plan here, is just ham out some support conversations, as one does. We'll smackaroo. We'll gain some levels here and there, I suppose, but this is mostly for support shenanigans. Is mostly what's going on here. You're gonna live this with like 2 HP, but that's fine. That's a-okay. It is what it is, I suppose. It's all a-o fine. And we go up to you, and then we... Wow. Welp. This is what happens when you have everybody in like weird things to do. I have to give that video essay I watch. Is it on my YouTube? Indeedly do. Is the thing we're up. It's one of my older ones though. It was the freaking first video essay that I ever made that actually did like really well for itself. And since then there have been 2 videos with like greater reception even. But like there's only been like 3 video essays that I've ever done that like got a lot of attention, brought a lot of people to this channel actually. So hopefully as the years go on, I can continue trying to make freaking video essays that stand out in that way. But we shall see. Heck, one of my mods that's currently in the channel, freaking Guzma, I freaking met him through that video after he discovered my channel through that video. So like, that was certainly something. Let's go ahead and sure, let's go over here and do this. That's what you do. So Rinka is over leveled for this point in the game and still has 4 damage. Nice. Yeah, I mean, she's also not used to using that at all, I guess, if you want to be in her defense. Or that was not who I was trying to heal, but that works, I guess. But yeah, props to you want to do video essay stuff too, but you never follow through because you hate the quality it was going into. During the editing process of a lot of my video essays, especially nowadays, there's like a lot of stuff that I wind up scrapping as it goes on. Like, just times where I'm looking at this, I'm like, I'm really not happy with how this is turning out, and just really want to change things and such, you know? Because I'm just like, oh man, the way that's coming out right now, is that the way that I want it to, you know, really come out and such? I don't know. Like, I'm working on a game called Dead by Daylight right now, on the reasons behind that game being as famously frustrating as it is. Like, what's going on in the background here that seemingly makes it a pretty frustrating game? I'm at C's. I'm allergic to DBD. So we'll see how that goes. And there's already been, like, significant parts of that I've been cutting out. Because I'm just like, yeah, I don't know about how that's turning out. I don't know if that was the best play there. But, like, whoops if it isn't. Please don't die. Sweet. But yeah, I had several projects canceled because of low self-esteem, but it makes me mad because there's so many things you could have called out first. I mean, freaking, when it came to the Rescue Team DX video essay, that video was actually published about a week after the announcement of Rescue Team DX, like after the announcement trailer. I freaking speed ran making that was the thing. And, like, it was mostly because it was at a point before the channel had, like, any attention behind the video essays at all. So I was expecting that video to get, like, maybe anywhere from, like, I don't know, 20 to 30 views at most, something like that. Like, I just freaking was like, this is something I'm passionate about. This is something I need to ramble about. I don't care if nobody listens. I'm gonna freaking ramble about this in this video. But then it actually got a bunch of reception. I was like, there's that, I guess. But I guess in my rush to, you know, get that out there, just to like get my thoughts out there, because PMD is something that I'm super passionate about, I guess in a way I kind of wound up striking while the iron was hot, and it worked out for me. So since then I've tried to be on the lookout for opportunities to do the same thing again. So shortly after the upcoming Pokemon remakes or remasters, I guess, on the Switch got announced along with Legends Arceus, I wound up doing a video essay on that topic. Like, that came out like a couple weeks after the announcement trailer, because I kind of semi-speed ran that too, being like, okay, let's strike while the iron's hot, ranting about what I'm passionate about. And it seems like that might have been the answer, because that's now, like, currently the freaking video that's doing the best on my channel nowadays. So, there's that. So I guess it could be really important to, you know, freaking get into rambling about things during a time that's relevant. There are plenty of video essays that I'll do just purely because, I mean, that would be a video that I would have done anyways, even if I didn't have an opportune time, but because I had the opportune time, it wound up working out extra well, I guess. Like, for example, this DBD one that I'm working on right now is purely just like, hey, let's get my thoughts out there about this subject. I don't know if freaking DBD's ever trending, It always has new players coming into it, but I don't know how relevant it is on the world of the YouTubes. Hey, look at that. Look at that there. Or there was one that I posted on 3 Houses like a few weeks ago where I was just like, yeah, I don't think 3 Houses is ever going to be trending again, but like, I just want to freaking get my ideas out there purely because I want to get my ideas out there and be passionate about it and whatnot. So, you know, there can be a mix of... So, did I miss? Did I miss? Are you telling me I miss? But yeah, you had a video being made about Erdrick's potential moveset way before Hero got announced, and turns out a lot of the stuff you talked about actually became reality, and that was that one of the ones that you wound up scrapping before it came out, or one that actually got published? Go ahead and sing there, is what we do. And we take out you and stuff. Yeah, you scrapped. Yeah, I'm definitely very glad that, you know, projects that I've thought about scrapping before hadn't been scrapped. I mean, there are some situations of things that have been scrapped. Like, a while back, I worked on a video essay on Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. And I was like, okay, my video essays are super long, so let's make a shorter video that just focuses on my favorite part of the game, leitmotifs and music, and my least favorite part of the game being the way that it handles player progression. And then I'll do like a longer video that has like much more lazy editing and yada yada that freaking talks about like my full thoughts on the game. And I finished the shorter one on leitmotifs and progression like late last year. I think I actually finished it, and it's like a 20-minute video, and I only wanted to publish it when like this longer one was done that was like an hour long that I thought I was gonna take a lazier stance to editing on, but then I wound up freaking editing it with the same level of effort that I would anything else anyway. And then, so it wound up taking much longer, and then I freaking stopped working on that. But the shorter one has been done for months now, and it just sits on my computer, like not going anywhere or doing anything, and I feel kind of bad, like, should I just freaking go through and like publish this? Because I've had a freaking full-on video essay done on my computer for like a good while now. I'm thinking now if I want like the slightest chance of, you know, posting it at a time it's semi-relevant, maybe I will at the time that like the Age of Calamity DLC comes out. Maybe that might not be a bad idea, even though production on that started right after I finished playing Age of Calamity, so I'm gonna have to rewatch that and see if I mentioned stuff about like, oh, I just finished playing it and stuff that I need to change and yada yada. Because yeah, that's a situation. Yeah, call the multiple hero costumes and most of his specials down. That would have been a nice thing to, you know, call out before it comes out and whatnot. That is too bad there. Yeah, the only like massive project that I've scrapped has been that Age of Calamity one, which, you know, just sits on my computer as a relatively done project for the shorter one at least, and I don't know what to do with that. And nowadays I'm working on other projects like the freaking DBD thingamabob, and I don't know what I'm doing with the whole situation. Random crit, sweet. Thanks for the random crit game. Let's smackaroo. Oh, maybe I should start practicing Naginata since we already got that to C proficiency. But yeah, making videos is hard. It's not I think we can all agree that freaking, you know, it's whack as heck. But yeah, guess it worked out. As a Dragon Quest fan, seeing Hero in Smash was a treat in and of itself. So I guess that's why your reaction is your most viewed video. Nice. Yeah, sometimes, I don't know, the YouTube algorithm is also like hella weird sometimes. Like the video that has gotten the most attention on my channel is one that I was not expecting to get a lot of attention at all. It was another one of those videos that was just me ranting purely because it was something I was passionate about. It was the modern state of Roller Coaster Tycoon, a series that I grew up with. Oh, nice random crit. Wasn't even enough to kill. And freaking, it seemed like everybody and their mother checked that out, and I was like, whoa, how did this happen? And even one of the lead artists on the first couple of games actually reached out to me through my business email to like commend me on that video and be like, hey, I think you really captured like the essence of like RCT and stuff like that and the changes the series has undergone. So like, thanks for nailing that in the video. And that was like the freaking craziest thing that's ever happened to me through like anything on my channel before. I keep that email like starred in my inbox, make sure that I never misplace it or anything like that, because, you know, that was from a childhood series that I grew up with. And I thought that was like crazy cool. and whatnot. I'm like allergic to talking about things for whatever reason. My goodness gracious. Does a Bora wanna do a thing? Cool, I guess she's gonna do that. But yeah, and way over the videos you put effort into. Yeah, like there was with that RCT video, I put a decent amount of effort into it, but there were like plenty of video essays after that I put like way more effort into and were way higher quality. Basically all the ones since then, but you know, that's the one that the algorithm just wound up really liking and just being like, hey, yeah, that thing's real cool. Let's promote that thing. It didn't make any sense. Like I look at my old PMD video and old RCT video, and compared to what I make nowadays, it's like, wow, that's really not the best, is it? But you know, it's brought a lot of people into this community, and it's, you know, really helped me out and stuff, and it's certainly been something, to say the least. Yeah, do we just want to go over here and like chill for a hot second, and that dude's gonna come over and give us some affinity? Yeah, okay. Okay, well, sounds good to me. We'll get our last little bit of extra hearts here. We'll wrap up this freaking grinding map and yada yada. But yeah, freaking, I swear the YouTube algorithm sometimes feels like a weird slot machine of kinds. Like every video in a way is like a gamble. You don't know what you're gonna get, don't know how it's gonna turn out and such. So just hope that the algorithm really likes you and that it works out and stuff, I guess. I don't know. It's weird. I won't ever pretend that I understand how the algorithm works, because I truly don't. I truly do not. Why are you coming over here? Get away. I'm trying to mind my own business. Yeah, it's definitely a very hit or miss kind of thing. I mean, also when it comes to content creation, something that I should also mention, especially on the subject of YouTube, is I love freaking networking with other content creators out there. So if you don't mind me asking, did you start out with like Twitch streaming? You seem to have a YouTube as well, it sounds like. Was that something that you maybe started out with and then came to Twitch? Like what way around did things maybe work out? Yeah, you get out of here. Get out of here, you filthy animal. The YouTube algorithm was probably made on accident. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, there's just some mad scientist out there trying to, like, I don't know, do something like find the cure for cancer. Then all of a sudden he, like, bumps the table and all these vials get, like, knocked over and it creates this weird concoction and he's like, oh, the YouTube algorithm! Or something, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, made some channels, then went to Twitch, so trying out a bunch of stuff. Couldn't actually see yourself being a streamer because you didn't think you were entertaining enough. Then boom, it outgrew your YouTube. That was like the freaking other way around for me. My freaking YouTube outgrew my Twitch, and now I wonder if I should, you know, one day become a YouTube streamer instead of a Twitch streamer. And I'll probably decide by next year. This year's a decent bit of trying out YouTube streams here and there with a couple different games to see if it's something I like. It's very different streaming on YouTube, to say the least. In some ways good, some ways bad. I don't know how better to describe it there. Hana's 31 strength, apparently. Yeah, I've actually been using your Twitch VODs to try and make more videos. It's been working out for a bit, like, to use Twitch VODs for uploads and whatnot, because the way that I handle, like, my playthrough... Please miss. Yes! Yes! Darn you! The way that I handle my playthroughs of things, and the reason why I wouldn't really want to, you know, have a playthrough suddenly end, is because these get cut up into parts for, like, series on YouTube, essentially. Is a thing. So like the 2 bits of content that I do are playthroughs, which are usually almost always just like my Twitch stuff cut up into parts and made thumbnails for and yada yada, all that fun stuff. And then the video essays that I do on the side. Like I keep a folder on my computer for literally every... I got 1% critted in the arena. Wait, that was Silas's 1% crit. Wait, what was the for the other dudo? I looked at the wrong side. What percent crit was that? It wasn't 1%. 1% was Silas's thing. I was looking at the wrong side. What percent was that? Gosh darn it. But yeah, like I keep a freaking 5%. Still sucks. But yeah, like for example, I was mentioning this earlier this stream. I keep a folder on my computer for literally every single game I do a playthrough of. Is the thing. that I like develop all my thumbnails for in as I cut things into parts. So like this is stream 8, for example, so there's like the 8 thumbnails for like the 8 Twitch streams, but in terms of YouTube parts to this point, we're at like part 40, and then whatever like this cuts up into from here, for example. So like there's that and stuff, for example. Let's turn that off. Is the thing. And it's been very interesting. Like there have been people who have reached out to me before who, you know, don't have Twitch and just completely consume content through YouTube and yada yada, and have reached out to me about these playthroughs that are initially done on Twitch and are like, hey, I'm really enjoying that freaking thingamabob you're doing. And I'm like, wow, that's real cool. I'm glad to hear you're really enjoying that, and I'm glad that I can reach, you know, more people who care about a boosted nerd like me out here playing video games. You want to gain a luck from eating these beans. But yeah, I don't want to call your channel full of VODs, so like to edit down to memorable moments like highlight reels and stuff like that. VODs take up so much space on your computer, so it's hard to hold on to most of them. If you save them as highlights, Twitch keeps them forever. Or you can always upload them as unlisted or private or something like that as well. Okay, I guess your stats are maxed out now, apart from HP. Nice, your thing did go up with the thingamabob and such. Like, you can cut them up into parts using the Twitch highlighter and then export directly to YouTube. That's what I do, because my video essay projects take up a lot of space. Like, space has been a serious issue on my computer for a good while, to the point that my initial 2TB drive that I used for a very long time is constantly getting close to like the end of being full, and I constantly need to like rethink the space on it. The solid state is mostly for like programs and games and stuff like that. And then this drive I've only had for like half a year at this point, and the space that it's like filled up with is like some stuff that I've already taken off of like the main drive and put onto there, and basically every other video essay that I've worked on since then. It's basically just a drive that has a bunch of folders that are like all my freaking video essay projects and stuff like that. So like lately I've been working on my Dead by Daylight essay, and the footage adds up. It definitely adds up. Or there's the recent Pokemon video essay that I did, where it's like, if I need even like a few second clip from like whatever freaking thingamabob, then I'm gonna download the whole freaking episode of that part of my playthrough. So it really, really adds up, and for that reason, I also have to have most of the footage in my video essays be 720p footage rather than 1080p, because my freaking video editor down here will straight up crash handling like that much 1080p footage and such. And I really need to replace my initial drive. I need to get like another solid state and put the OS onto it, because I have some serious slowdown issues with this computer, to say the least. It freaking really adds up when I'm gathering all kinds of freaking stuff for even like few second moments in my my stuff. So yeah, if I want even a few second clip from something, I download like the whole episode of that part of my series, or like whatever other like trailer or something I want to draw attention to, and yeah, and then I do like multiple different versions. Oh my goodness, they're all 2.35 gigabytes for my 3D All-Stars video essay. I probably don't need this many different versions anymore, but like, I'll leave them around on my computer for now. It adds up. It adds up, to say the least. So this is literally basically all projects over here, and it's already used up so much space, and like, oh my goodness, space is a concern. So like, there's no way. One of the biggest, I've tried YouTube series before of like YouTube playthroughs is the thing. Like, just recording purely for YouTube, cutting that up into parts, and then making that a series. Like, hoo boy, does that ever add up fast? Can I check how much... Yeah, I did it with the Rescue Team DX, was a YouTube exclusive thing. Can I check how much space this all takes up if I control A? How do you check that? So there's all these recording thingamabobs. All these different sessions that were cut up into parts for that series. I'm a little bit sad I can't check the space on, like, the whole thing. I mean, I can roughly gather freaking 8 gigabytes, 5 gigabytes, 4, 7. That's, I don't know what that clip is. 8. That's a short thingamabob. 5. Another short thingamabob. 7.5. 4.3. 2.5. It adds up. Was this one's freaking nearly 11 gigabytes. This one session. How long is this? How long was this session anyway? How long was this? This was a 5-hour session I did, apparently. My goodness gracious. So, the Purity Forest with Smeargle episode was 4.5 gigabytes on its own. That was like 3 hours long. It adds up. It very much adds up, to say the least. But yeah, let's just see here. One thing you hate is that it's hard to throw a 46-hour VOD into Premiere Pro and not have it lag. Yeah, that's kind of what happens with my whole video editing software. My Dead by Daylight guide that I'm working on nowadays, which I'd show, but it's not currently open in my... Actually, wait, yes it is. I thought it wasn't currently open in my video editor. Turns out it is. I've already had to split it into 2 different projects, and it's gonna have to wind up being more than that from there. Just because, like, it lags so much with all the stuff that I do on my timeline. I'm not even gonna be able to do anything properly here. It's gonna nearly crash because it was like, you wanted to video edit right now? I didn't know you wanted to video edit right now. Now I gotta load this into, like, the... Whoa. RAM and stiff. Oh my goodness. You don't even get to see any of it. My computer does not want to comply. This is already after splitting it into 2 projects. No, it does not lag like this during regular use. During regular use, when like, the computer's loaded up properly and it's like, oh, you want to do video editing right now, it's usually not that bad. But if I'm in the middle of streaming and I pull up my video editor out of nowhere, my computer's like, what? I didn't know you wanted to do that. I don't have any resources allocated for that, and then it just like dies. But, you know, if I wind up having a project be too big, then this kind of behavior is what becomes regular. So typically for my bigger projects, like my Dead by Daylight video essay I'm currently working on, I divide it into smaller projects, is the thing. Just so that, like, my computer doesn't glitch out like it currently is on my monitors and stuff. Weird. But yeah, no, take it, you have to organize your files. It's so cool talking to you. See, your creative process is giving you a motivation bug. Wait, is that a positive thing? What does motivation bug mean? Like, does... If it was something like motivation, inspiration, be like, okay, that's positive. Does motivation bug, does that mean a positive or negative kind of thingamabob? I assume positive thing, I hope? Yeah, you want to work on your project now. Well, glad to hear it. Glad I was able to give some inspiration there. But yeah, for larger projects, I do definitely wind up cutting them into, like, smaller projects that I just wind up, like, combining in that. My video editor is trying to open right... Whoa! My video editor just... I already minimized it, but now it's, like, open properly and stuff. What, you want to work? You want to work? Maybe you want to work. Maybe you do. I don't know if it's gonna do anything. Whoa. Keep in mind, I have a lot of music there, and a lot of different footage and images and everything that I use in my freaking media bin and all that fun stuff. Can we, like, chill for a hot second? And then, if I play it, will it work right now? No, maybe it will. Maybe it will actually work right now, freaking this video essay I've been working on. Isn't that crazy? Well, it's gonna lag a lot.
I would argue the core gameplay of Dead by Daylight is a positive feedback loop, there are definitely certain aspects one could definitely call a negative feedback loop. I would argue the single biggest instance of this is No One Escapes Death, a killer perk which is essentially the definition of comeback. There's a lot of perks in-
Stop! That's enough. Thanks, game. Thanks, game. Thanks, video editor. That's enough. Okay. Let's unpause the thingamabob. But yeah, it does get laggy. I mean, it's also especially laggy right now because I'm streaming and such. One of these days, I'll probably get, like, some new drive or something that loads things fast. I should get a solid state, like, in addition to the current one, just so I can slap my OS on it. And, you know, the computer has a lot less to do there. Because I swear, I look at Task Manager and Performance, and all the time, literally right now even, it's at freaking 100%. Like, what the hell? Oh, now it dropped down. 10? It was literally just at 100% a moment ago. And, like, my solid state and my secondary drive usually don't go through a lot of use. But this one, the freaking main one, the oldest one that I've had for literally over a decade now, because this thing used to be in, like, an old computer, and I transferred it to this new computer, so I got to keep, like, all my data and all that stuff, and make it feel like I was essentially on the same computer. It, is old. Is old, and that thing constantly hits 100%. What do you bet it hits 100% if I hit play on this? What do you bet?
What do you bet? The player for playing well or performing skillful actions.
I'm honestly surprised it didn't. It usually does.
Abbreviated to.
It's going up.
An example of a perk that gives a major
most of my RAM is being
for
used.
playing poorly.
That's
what
normal.
No one escaped.
I'm honestly surprised it didn't shoot up to 100% like it was a moment ago. Well, but anyway, my computer will commonly freeze up, and when I check Task Manager and Performance, I'll see that Disk C is literally frozen at 100%. So, I really gotta put my OS on something faster. I could always take some stuff off my solid state and maybe put it on there. How much space does the OS take up anyway, I wonder? Maybe I should look into that. Maybe I don't need to change anything about my computer. I can just move the OS over to there and everything would be fine and dandy. Maybe. I don't know. We have a lot of supports. Let's read some supports and stuff. Let's do some more reading and turn the Dogi Cam back on. Hannah, you're sighing again. Despite all the reading we've done, I don't feel like I've learned much about strategy. Our study group was a good idea, but we don't really seem to concentrate. Yeah, that's how I feel with freaking stuff into uni a lot of the time. Look at us now. We're out taking a walk instead of studying. That used to be the way that I was with editing projects. That's the way I am with certain editing projects, like the longer version of that Age of Calamity project, for example, that I don't know what I'm doing with anymore. I love taking walks, and it was time for a break anyway. The third break of the day. Oh, I see what you're talking about. I think we spend more time taking breaks from studying than actually studying. We both tend to avoid things we aren't naturally skilled at. I don't think our efficiency increases when we work together. Wait, are you saying we should learn from other people? I don't know. Satsuna, keep your cool and don't stop walking. You notice them too, right? The hash-slinging slasher and his freaking gang. I don't know. I did. Poor people hiding in the shade of that tree over there. Enemies. They look to be spies. What do you think we should do? I don't think they've realized we noticed them. We can take advantage of that. Oh no. I'll walk this way and... Yes, I see. Alright, let's do it. You keep walking and get out of view over there. I'll leap into their midst while they're confused. Fire as many arrows as you can. Just don't hit me, okay? Got it. I wasn't where's the support conversation going anyway? Hey, Googie. Hi. How are you doing? Oh, you are so tired. Okay, let's do this. What the? Hiacho! Bitey, or not fighty. Bitey, bite. I can't even get my Xenoblade references right. Phew, I think that's the last of them. I count all 4. Well done. Felt like we knew exactly what we needed to do. Our teamwork was perfect. Alright. Wait a minute. What is it? This is what it's all about. This is what they mean by coordination when fighting in a group. You make use of each person's unique skills and work together to defeat the enemy. Oh, I see. Now that we know how it feels, I think we can study without getting distracted. You may be right. With a clear goal in mind, yes, I feel like I could keep studying right now. Totally. Oh, I guess we should probably report that we defeated some spies. Oh yeah. Oops. That was an interesting support. Also, something else when it comes to like managing stuff on like YouTube and uploads and stuff. Something else that is very interesting that I do that like most content creators wouldn't have to worry about is because stream is cut up into parts and a lot of parts that like gets a lot of uploads queued up for a long while, and I don't want to spam people's uploads feeds. So for like most of my uploads, I have to go into settings and uncheck this box that says publish to subscriber feed and notify subscribers, and then it just like it can still appear on like home recommended page and stuff like that, but it shouldn't appear in like a subscription feed, and anybody with like bell notifications isn't going to get like spammed by the freaking constant stuff that I'm doing. And I kind of like it that way. Then it's like my YouTube is like mostly this main stuff that I'm focusing on, and then like the other stuff that isn't being published to the subscriber feed becomes more like an archive that anybody can like delve into whenever they want to like delve into that archive without that archive being like constantly spamming them. Oh, I heard that big groan as you stretched. Oh man. Well, I can adjust the Doogie Cam over a little bit more. Forgive the fact that there's a bunch of recycling in front of my guitar right now. When I was freaking overhauling this room looking for my new 3DS again, I gathered up all the recycle and was like, there's not a recycle bag in here, so I'm just gonna pile it in front of my guitar and like take it out one of these days. So ignore the fact that there's like a big pile of recycling in front of my guitar. That's neither here nor there. Hello Jacob, will you be able to help me with my training again? Of course, Prince Takumi. Though I may not enjoy it, I cannot risk you telling Lord Harmonia anything negative. At least I know how you feel about helping, then. I have to ask, though, don't you think you have practiced enough already? What do you mean? You're known to be one of the best archers ever. What more do you have to prove? Others may think of me that way, but I'm not satisfied with my skill. I know I can still become stronger. I know others will recognize me for it. It's approval you seek, then. You know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you? I do. Well, I abandoned that desire long time ago. I grew up. Hey, what are you trying to say? I apologize, Prince Takumi. I mean that you still have some growing to do. I'm not good at dealing with those younger than myself. I'm not that much younger than you are. That may be true, but there is a certain wisdom that comes with age. I do not think you have yet found that wisdom. Just you wait. I'll prove that you're wrong. I look forward to it, Prince Takumi. Okay, enough stalling. I need to burn off this energy with some training. Very well, let's get to it. What do you say to an accuracy competition instead of regular training? I don't think I'll be able to... I don't know what's going on with my throat. After these support conversations, I'm gonna call it a night. I don't think I'll be able to hold back. Are you ready for me to give it my all? Of course, bring it on. Besides, I gotta get up in a decent hour, semi-decent hour, for this freaking Smash tournament that I'm commentating and stuff. I should have slept earlier, but like, whoops, it gets out of hand and stuff. You think another thing you're struggling with is a balance of streaming, editing, and literally everything else? Yeah, nowadays, life is like an interesting balance for me nowadays. Because it's like, I'm balancing uni, personal life stuff, and then streaming along with editing. And it's like, there's these kind of three parts of my life. There's my university life, there's my personal life, and there's like my content creation kind of life. And it's how I find like a balance between these things that, you know, impacts how my day-to-day life goes in a way, I guess. And summer break now, though, I'm doing summer classes because I figured in previous summers I have gone and like gotten like full-time work to be doing during the summer, but I figure while COVID is ending off and such, I'll just wind up doing like a summer class here and there, and then do some more like, you know, streaming stuff, some more editing stuff, and catch up on some things that I need to catch up on, both personal life-wise and like content creation-wise and stuff like that. And I do still do like part-time work here and there for the same university that I take school at. I help enter research data when there's data to be entered, and also help manage some things with the databases there. On paper, I'm a research assistant, which sounds way cooler than what I actually do, which is mostly just entering data and like making sure that databases are freaking a-okay and stuff, and that there's no significant problems going on. But research assistant sounds way cooler. So here and there, I'm balancing work for university. I'm doing just one class right now, because this one class is compacted into just like 6 weeks, essentially, rather than like a typical 4-month term. I guess like the summer months, instead of being 4 months long total, my university does it as like 2-month thingamabobs that are each like 6 weeks. So I'm taking just one class, which is pretty decently chill, but it's pretty crazy compact like that, just so I can like make some progress on the side in that way. And that gives me some more time for like a semi-break with some more streaming and editing time and yada yada, while I do some other stuff with personal life things and time for family and all that wacky stuff. So I don't know, it's a strange balance I try to strike. I probably should wind up doing less streaming, more editing is what I should do, more time for working on various video essays and such. When I get into the jam of editing my video essays, I'll be freaking working on editing it for like 4 to 5 hours at a time. Like, I get into a groove and a real jam and freaking get so much done at a time. I should probably do like shorter sessions and more sessions is probably a better balance. I don't know how to do that though. I don't know how to factor that in though. It's freaking complicated and weird. Like, I straight up haven't worked on that DBD video essay in probably over a week now, but the last time I did was probably like a freaking 5-hour session of just hamming stuff out, honestly. Just taking like a dedicated day for working on that. And that's the way things come and go with me in a weird balance like that. So that's certainly something. You know, it's having to juggle work and classes. You always feel pressured to work more because it's already a source of income. Yeah, for sure there. Like, the one part-time work that I have right now is just like, I work when there's work to be done, or when people within that building that I work in, or the area that I work in, reach out to me like, hey, I have some stuff that you can help out with. Do you mind coming in and helping out? And I'll be like, okay. And sometimes I'll come in and help out with that kind of thing. Before COVID, the summers between there, I had done like full-time work. Like, I was doing duct cleaning for that first summer. And then the summer after that, I was working in IT for a company called Longview that basically does IT work for a bunch of other companies around the city. So throughout that time, I got to work for like countless companies all over the city doing IT work or helping out with stuff with them. And it was actually really cool. And I probably learned more in those few months than I did in a couple of years of university, just considering the environment that it was. It was a really cool experience and such. But when COVID hit and, you know, freaking everybody was scrambling for a job, I was like, okay, well, everybody's scrambling for a job. There's very few job opportunities out there. I already have a part-time job through my university, and I have a part-time job through my channel. And I'm in a position where if everything goes smoothly, I should be able to make it through university without having to take out any student loans. And I know that there's like people out there that are struggling way more. So it was last summer that I was like, okay, this is going to be the summer that I'm not out there looking for a job. I'll let the few jobs that are out there go to other people. I'm like well off enough. And then this summer is more like, okay, things are still easing up from like the weirdness and stuff. Let's, you know, take some more time to do some more classes by doing summer classes on the side, while also making progress on like channel stuff, which is developing more this year than it has in like any other years before, and let's see what like comes of it and stuff. But yeah, I'm making the pizza, but yeah, because you work in food, it feels so stressful, especially during COVID. One of my mods, Guzma, freaking, is a chef as well, and he how do I describe things? I don't know how to describe things, but it definitely sounds like it can be stressful from time to time from some of the things that I've heard from him. I probably lucked out with the job that I have with university, even if I don't get a lot of hours because there's not always work to be done. It can be pretty chill, just like pop in some headphones, look at the data in front of me, enter it into the database, and it can be like a nice chill time and yada yada. I kind of miss my job at Longview though. Like there were some projects that were like very much like very hard work for some of the projects I was assigned to, but I did learn a lot from that position, met a lot of really cool people, and I would have liked to have gone back to it again last summer. Like, it wasn't confirmed to me, but they did imply that I'd be able to come back again the next summer. Like, my project manager had told me, oh, I'll be sure to have better projects for you next summer and stuff like that. But then COVID hit, and then it was like, okay, I'm probably not going back into working in IT again, which I was a bit bummed out about. I was definitely a decent bit bummed out about that, to say the least. I was big saddened. Didn't Jacob want to A+ support Takumi because that's like the only thingamabob that he can get anything from, was the thing. Yeah, I think so. So let's go ahead and do that. Jacob can go ahead and A+ support Takumi like that. Nice, nice. These two are still working on their thingamabob, it seems like. But yeah, it can be difficult kind of striking that balance, especially when you have like all kinds of other obligations to do, personal life or other streaming stuff wise. Like, for example, this weekend, literally tomorrow, literally like freaking 10 hours from now, something like that, I'm commentating a Smash tournament, for example, with the Smash crew that I helped out with a whole bunch last year, and nowadays it's usually just the occasional event here and there. Like, that group reached out to me and was like, hey, can you help out with this? And I was like, sure, I'll go ahead and do that. So I'm commentating a tournament tomorrow. The following weekend is going to be helping to put a pier into a freshly thawed, probably freezing cold lake for the first time of the spring, because here in the land of Canada, when the winters come, the lake freezes over at this cabin that my family has by a lake as a nice little summer home in this village. So because the lake completely freezes over, you gotta take the pier out every year and then put it back in again each year, and it's the following weekend that I'm gonna have to be one of the people involved in spending all day in a freezing cold lake putting this thing together, and it's a massive pain, but it's gotta get done. And then the following weekend, immediately after that, I'm freaking doing a 24-hour charity stream that would usually be done through my Taekwondo school for Larch, which helps people with developmental disabilities. But my Taekwondo school, because of COVID, for the past couple of years, can't do its like big group fundraising thing. So I was like, hey, well, there's nothing that stops me from just doing a thing on my own and making like my own donation through that, I guess. So that's what we're doing. So like, it can be very easy a lot of the time for like plans to, you know, add up, I guess is all I'm saying. And it can feel very, very overwhelming, I find at times. And, you know, but I still continue down this path and continue doing what I do because like I'm always making gradual progress forward and, you know, doing something I'm passionate about and helping others who are similarly passionate about a lot of the same things, I guess. But yeah, one nice thing though is that you went to school for digital media. In a way, you're exercising your skills by making these videos. That's very similar to my video essays, because what I'm studying in university is actually game design. I'm going for a major in computing science alongside a certificate in game design. And in the last several video essays, especially in the one that I'm working on right now, I've actually taken the lessons that I've learned from my game design classes and applied those to my analysis of games that I do in my video essays. Like my recent one that I published, like analyzing 3 houses, I talked about how games will make meaningful choices. Like one of the main ways that you can engage a player through you know, doing stuff is through meaningful choices, because at the end of the day, games are work, and nobody usually likes doing work. So how do you convince your player to, you know, do work? It's by making one of the key reasons, not the only reason, but one of the key reasons is by making meaningful choices. Like, for example, when I'm, you know, doing my stuff here, it's like, hey, do I want to A+ support Rinka with Kagero? Do I want to A+ her with, who else is there? With Oboro? Do I want to A+ her with Orochi? Apparently that was the answer. Like, there's choices with consequences that you care about that, you know, freaking help engage you to keep things going forward. But sometimes games will have what are called meaningless choices, where it's like, well, it's what it's called, a meaningless choice, and they can be meaningless for several reasons. And I identified these different meaningless choices in Three Houses as different examples, like obvious choices, where, let's say, a game gives you a really, really good weapon or a really, really crap weapon. Which one do you choose? You're obviously going to go for the really, really good one. That's kind of what Three Houses does with assets and flaws. It's like, do this, you do well. Do this, you're going to freaking shoot yourself in the foot. Why would you even do that? Like, don't even consider that. So it kind of punishes creativity in that way with the whole assets and flaws thing, unfortunately. There's hollow choices, where your choices literally don't have any consequences at all. And an example of that in Three Houses would be the Blue Lions route, where it's like, do you want to go to Enbar or Ferdiad? Where you make a choice of either one, and then the game is just like, yeah, your choice doesn't matter. We're freaking doing the thing for you anyway. And it's just like, oh, okay, I guess that was meaningless. And stuff like that. There's also like uninformed and hidden choices, where it's like, either you don't understand the consequences, or you make a choice but you don't even realize that you made a choice. Both of those are kind of like choosing a house at the beginning of the game, because it's like, you know, you're making a choice of like which house to lead, but you don't know like how that's going to play out for the rest of the game. You don't know like what kind of moral stance the professor's going to take in this war that goes on down the line, since you don't understand these moral stances yet. A new player might not even realize that a war happens and that you inadvertently chose your side, and all kinds of wacky stuff like that. So it's been really cool to apply these like lessons that I've learned in these game design classes to this thingamabob. Like if I go into my Dead by Daylight essay thingamabob and open these images, for example, for like these chapter kind of previews that I've been working on to like divide the video up into various chapters and such. Like, the first thing that I talk about immediately is feedback loops that I recently learned about in this game design class in tabletop games this past semester, which I thought was really fascinating. And for a long time, I wasn't sure, like, why is Dead by Daylight so frustrating anyway? And I think that I finally figured out that answer is its freaking positive feedback loop, which makes things spiral more and more in favor of whoever's currently winning. Creates a sense of inevitability and therefore takes away suspense, and then it doesn't feel like your actions have any meaning and yada yada. But there are also some negative feedback loop aspects that help bring things closer to equilibrium and all that freaking wacky stuff and yada yada. And it's a process and a half, but it's been really cool to apply what I've been learning in classes to those things, to say the least. It's been pretty cool, to say the least. But yeah, I just wrapped up your associates in DM, but want to continue to get a bachelor's in game design. There's a bachelor's in game design? Is that a thing there? At my university, it's just like, there's a certificate in game design that you can go for, and that's what I'm going for. And yeah, hello, Touch Guy. Hey, I hope you aren't sleeping yet. We are going to be sleeping here very soon, because in about 8 or 10 hours, I need to really double check the time. I'm expected to be commentating a Smash tournament, so I should probably get some decent sleep before that. What time is it anyway? Local uni has something along those lines. Gotcha. I'm not 100% sure where I'd like try to go exactly after graduating and such. Local stuff that I have here is BioWare as well as Improbable, and nobody knows what Improbable is yet because they're only working on their first game right now. But once they get their first game out there, people will probably know what Improbable is. Everybody knows what not everybody, but a lot of people know what BioWare is at least. So I might look into potential work there one day. Maybe. We shall see. I know that I have friends. I've never actually played a BioWare game, I'm sorry to say. I really should for like some local stuff. But yeah, officially it's game design and development. That sounds fascinating and something like I'd probably be taking over there under creative media, huh? Gotcha. If I was over there, it definitely sounds like something I'd be taking. Oh, how's a workout? Let's take a break. Also, did I say hi properly, Touch Sky? I hope you're doing well today. I get my mind kerfuffled. I agree. As always, your ferocity in the match was impressive. I'm constantly surprised by the new moves you improvise in our matches. I feel like I'm learning from you each time we go into the ring. You know, We've been having sumo matches for some time now. I can tell that I've grown physically stronger as a result. I've had allies, and allies mention that my skills on the battlefield appear to have improved too. It seems our matches have greatly benefited both of us. It's funny that our matches began as a way to see who was stronger, yet they resulted in both of us growing even more powerful. Can't complain about the results. Even though Rinka's still going to be stuck with a crappy strength growth rate, although it means that the crowds that gather remain unsatisfied. I don't care about them. Plus, I think their desire to see a deciding battle just drives both of us to improve. I know I don't want to be on the losing side of things. Nor I. Another match then? Hooning into A+ with who here? Again? Oh, Rinka already A+ with Orochi, so that means that it must be the other way around here. Let me double check my spreadsheet that I threw together. Just because I like to doubly make sure before I make any hasty freaking thingamabobs. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that, and then, you know, freaking Kaguro can get access to Death Blow for even more crits from Rinka. Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. There we go. A+ sounds fantastic. And we can get an A+ over here. We need to talk, Izama. Ah, Kaden, what brings you out here? Looking to get tricked again already? Yeah, very funny. Listen, the truth is that I still think you're pretty remarkable. What do you mean? It was easy for you to read the weather just by looking at the sky, right? I've never seen anyone else do that before. Clearly all that training has helped you become more powerful, right? Which means you must have actually done super tough training before. Like the waterfall meditation. That was obviously real. You can't fool me. Kaden, wait a minute. You totally are one of a kind. After all that hard work, I know you'll hear the Great One's voice someday. All that I ask is that you tell me what the voice sounds like when that day comes, okay? Listen, Kaden, you're a goofy guy, so I thought it would be fun to tease you, okay? But I realize now that you're exactly the kind of person I can barely stand. Oh, what do you mean by that? You can't pick up on sarcasm, and now you're earnestly trying to sing my praises. This conversation is making me feel sick. I'm sorry to hear that. Would teasing me make you feel any better? I don't think that will help right now, but I can't let things end like this. When you come by next time, I'm going to trick you in a big way. Just wait and see. That's a first. You're not so bad, Izama. Laugh it up while you still can. I'm going to get you, Kaden. You better be prepared. Yeah, I can't wait. Well, gotta head out. It's been fun talking to you. Thanks for the tips and motivation for content creation. Drop by the next time able to. I appreciate that. I always love networking with fellow content creators out there, so mark my words, I'll be freaking dropping a follow after the stream when I remember and stuff, because it's always fun to meet fellow content creators out there. You already A+ with Hinata, so... Wait, Izama wanted to A+ with Kaden? What was this for again? Just for, like, I guess just for Rend Heaven, because he already has access to, like, Onmyoji through Monk, is the thing. But yeah, his other choices were Hayato, which would give him nothing, and Tsubaki, which would give him Sky Knight. So yeah, I guess, like, Rend Heaven from Bizarra and Kaden is what it seems like the plan is. Okay. Okay, there it is. There you go. Alright, one more thingamabob here for one of them to A+ one another. Hey, Orochi, guess what? You found a 4-leaf clover. Even better, you had the right idea about my problem. How so? I bumped into that kid who I freaked out last time. I smiled at him, and he smiled back. Way to go, Oboro. We got to talking a little, and I ended up challenging him to a stare-off. I won, of course. Stare-off, huh? Sounds like you found a way to make that face work for you. Yeah, I feel silly when I think about how anxious I was. The kid loved your masks, by the way. He was howling on the floor. Those masks are fine art. It would be one thing for the kid to nod at them in respectful silence, but he laughed? They must have been even more charming than you knew. Anyway, both your advice and your masks helped. I'm feeling much better now. I still wish the masks had been better appreciated, but I'll settle for seeing you smile. Thank you, Oboro. You know, if you ever need more masks like those, I'd always be happy to. I'll let you know. Oh. So, let's see here. What was my thingamabob I was doing here? So, Oboro wanted to A+ Rinka, and I guess to get Death Blow. And Orochi wanted to A+ Oboro. What was the thing? Hold on, let me double check this. From Rinka, she could get Oni Savage. There's no point because she gets that from Hayato, so that's useless. The other choice is Kaguro, which would give her Ninja, but freaking. She already gets Replicate from her secondary class of Apothecary, which... Let me double check that your secondary class is Apothecary. Wait, I can't. I ran out of Heart Seals. I'll trust my spreadsheet. Let's see here. So, yeah, I guess we're A+ with a Borrow just because that's, like, the thing that you can actually use the best, I guess. Even though you can probably barely use it. Yeah, so we're getting there. We're getting there. We still have that one to do. So we're not there all the way in terms of our A+ yet. But we're making good progress. We're making good progress. By the time the next Strim rolls around, I might well have freaking everybody at the ready for, you know, A+ being done and stuff. And we did our first extra class DLC map that unlocked Vanguard, which is certainly something. Our good old Vanguard brand. An otherworldly class, the leader of a band of heroes, uses swords and axes. It's pretty spicy spice. But that will be going to a different chosen hero. Is what will be the thing. Alright, I'm tired. My voice is tired. I gotta rest up for the Smash tournament is what I gotta do. My goodness. So, thanks all who stopped by and hung out for these shit. I was gonna reach down and pet the doggy, but I think she's fast asleep, so I won't actually disturb her. Is what I'll do. So yeah, thanks all who stopped by and hung out for the shenanigans. I'm gonna go, like, pass out, so take care all, and see ya.